Hey there. You followed the playbook perfectly. You climbed the ladder, got the promotions, and checked every single box society told you would lead to happiness. So why, after all that striving, does it feel so empty? You have the title, the salary, and the ergonomic chair that costs more than your first car. But instead of feeling like you've made it, you're left with a bone-deep exhaustion and a terrifying question. Is this all there is? And if you've ever had the thought, did I climb this entire ladder only to find out it's leaning against the wrong wall? And you're terrified of what's left if you stop climbing, you've stumbled into the right corner of the internet. You're not alone. Oh, believe me on that. You're human. This isn't an isolated experience, even though it might feel that way. This feeling is what comes along with burnout. It's also the reason why the next promotion or achievement will never be enough to solve it. Stay with me, because in this video, I'm going to give you a clear 4-step process to finally untangle your self-worth from what you do and your job. You'll learn how to build an unshakable sense of self that isn't dependent on your next success, so you can stop chasing validation and running from failure and running to the things you love. You can start walking clearly in your leadership and thriving in your 9-to-5 and beyond. So let's get into it. I know I'm not the only one who's felt like this, and you're not either. It feels like there's a secret, collective eye roll happening across the world. Quiet quitting, burnout, disengagement. These aren't laziness problems, despite what some people would say. What it is a massive rejection of the hustle culture that told us our job description included sell your soul for a company-branded water bottle. It's a collective pushback from a world that taught us to be human doings instead of human beings. When you see report after report showing a huge number of employees feel trapped, you know it's not just a workplace issue. It's an identity crisis. Some research suggests that high achievers are significantly more likely to experience imposter syndrome and identity-based burnout because we've been conditioned to believe our value is conditional in and of itself. So how did we get here? Well, we've grown up in a world that praises performance, not necessarily personhood. Get the A, be a good kid. Conditional approval becomes the operating system. Achievement equals love, performance equals worth. Then we go get that first job. The workplace comes in and says, great news, we've updated the performance metrics. For most of us, this programming started way back when. We were little, adorable, approval-seeking machines. We got attention and love like performance-based bonuses. And that's the very confusing and life-suffocating equation. Achievement equals love and performance equals worth. Productivity equals value. We carry that programming straight into an achievement society that basically runs on gold stars for adults. The message becomes loud and clear. You can be anything you want if you just work hard enough. But the dark side of that promise is the crushing shame we feel when we don't achieve or when we finally do and it just feels meh. We yell to the heavens, why have you forsaken me? Okay, fine. Maybe we just passively aggressively refresh our email at 11 o'clock at night, wondering why the universe hates us specifically. We're constantly measuring our real lives against the curated success stories we see online, which just fuels this relentless cycle of striving. We're always reaching for the next rung on the ladder, thinking that that's the one that will finally make us feel whole, and then we can finally relax. For years, we used our jobs to give us a stage to perform on. Our titles and coworkers were all props that told us who we were and that we mattered. And the more the modern world seeped into our lives, with relentless connection, our living room starting to feel like an open plan office space with slightly better snack collection, and checking our email secretly in the bathroom, we started to ask ourselves, what in the world are we doing? With this chronic, unrelenting performance of our jobs, this terrifying question started to bubble up. Who am I, really? And then somehow we ended up much older asking, why am I still terrified of disappointing someone named Cheryl in accounting? Or my boss? When your whole identity is built on how much you do and how successful you are at doing it, you become scared to stop because stopping feels like disappearing. Inside my Get Real practice, this is the central truth. Most leaders aren't overwhelmed because of their workload, necessarily. They're overwhelmed because they're performing a version of themselves they never intentionally and consciously chose. And they forget all about the other many, many roles they have in this one big, beautiful life. My turning point wasn't necessarily that dramatic. It was more of a quiet internal system crash. I'd landed a massive project, the kind I'd been sacrificing weekends and evenings for, and a lot of other stuff, like watering my plants. I opened the metrics dashboard that had all of this amazing data on it that never existed before. All the success of a project well executed, and felt nothing. like 0. That little voice in my head, my internal achiever manager, you know the one. She sounds like a disappointed GPS who's personally offended that you took the scenic route, was driving the bus straight off a cliff into the abyss of burnout. I'd become so defined by my output that I had no idea who I was without it. My entire sense of self was built on what other people thought of me, what I was getting accomplished, and the cracks were finally starting to show. I was terrified that if I stopped achieving, I would just disappear. As I looked at that metrics dashboard and this big accomplishment, the only question I had access to was, what's next? Now what? Ugh. If you ever want to measure burnout, here's the formula. Achievement plus 0 feeling equals something's off. That's when I knew I couldn't just find a new ladder or move the wall. I had to learn how to live on solid ground. So what do? How do you start to untangle your soul from your KPIs and the metrics dashboard and actually love yourself for who you are, not for what you do, and also thrive in your work at the same time? It's a practice and a process. This is the foundation of the Get Real practice of my 5-part leadership framework, separating who you are from the role you perform. Let's walk through the practice. Step 1, the first step. In Jungian psychology, the persona is the mask we wear to navigate the world. And we have several of them. It's not fake, they're functional. It helps you show up professionally, lead teams, close deals. But here's the trap. When you confuse the mask and the persona with the person underneath, burnout becomes inevitable. Because masks are exhausting to wear 24/7. Your achiever and performer identity isn't the real you. It's not your essence. It's a part of you that learned, I must perform to belong, and I can perform. The true self, the one beneath the performance, doesn't burn out. It doesn't need external validation to exist. It just is. So the first part is simple awareness. Notice when you're wearing the mask. Notice when the achiever manager is running the show. You can't change what you can't see. And I say simple, but just know it's a practice. Then you can have a clear line between your self-esteem and your self-worth. Self-esteem is the fair-weather friend who only shows up when you're winning, when things are going well, when you're performing and it's dependent solely on outcomes. Self-worth is the ride or die. It's unconditional. It loves process and effort. It leaves the outcomes where they belong. And that brings us to step 2. Step 2 is creating your life mind map. Yep, a life mind map. Here's how you do it. Take out a piece of paper, put the word me in the center, and around it, write all the roles you also play, like daughter, brother, friend, partner, pet parent, human being who needs rest. Then ask, what plans or projects do I have specifically in those roles for this week, this month, or even this year? And listen, if your map shows that all your projects and tasks are landing at work and taking up 90% of the space, that doesn't make you wrong. It makes you aware. This isn't about balance either. This is about architecture. You're building a foundation that can't collapse when one pillar shakes. And now to step 3. Our culture is obsessed with outcomes, which makes failure feel like a personal insult from the universe. But here's the magic. We can shift focus from outcomes to effort and process. Instead of get the promotion, try consistently advocate for my value in meetings and bring value. Instead of lose 20 pounds, we can try this. Move my body in a way that feels good 3 times a week and focus on healthy food, even if that movement is just aggressively dancing to 80s music in the kitchen. See the difference? Effort-based goals put you back in the driver's seat. You can't always control results, but you can control courage, consistency, calm, confidence, and following a process and the effort you give. And honestly, when you consider what it takes for a specific outcome to arise, it's pretty much a mystery how they all happen anyway. There are a lot of causes and conditions that need to come together. So we can focus on effort and process. And now on to step number 4. In a world that wants you to monetize every hobby, one of the most rebellious things you can do is to be beautifully mediocre, at least at one thing. That's right. I'm saying to find something where you are at best average. Find activities that you're allowed to be bad at, slightly bad instrument bad, recorder playing bad. Take a dance class and be clumsy. Walk without a fitness tracker. Being bad at things is a spiritual practice. And do the same thing with your relationships, not be bad at them. What I mean is, invest in people who love you for who you are, not just what you do. And there's a deeper exercise in this one. Go to 2 or 3 people you trust and ask them, besides my spreadsheet skills, what do you love about me? What are some things you really notice? What strengths do you see in my being versus my doing? I promise you they're not going to say, we love your revenue targets. They'll say things like, you make me laugh, or you're steady. You make people feel safe. And then make a note, maybe write them down, and look at them frequently. Because this is actually who you are. That's your essence. Now, I want to warn you, through all of this, your achiever persona is going to scream things like, "You're falling behind, you should be doing more, get going." Just smile lovingly and say, "I appreciate the concern, but I got this." Talk to that part like a scared friend who's trying to help, even though you never asked for it. I'm sure your spreadsheet skills, much like mine, are impressive, but tell me, what's one thing about you that would never show up on a resume? Drop it in the comments. And maybe you're thinking, but I like achieving things. Good, me too. This isn't about giving up on achieving, and it isn't about becoming a couch philosopher who's given up on goals. Achievements are wonderful. Just don't build your identity on them. Your job is temporary. Your title is temporary. Your worth, that's not up for negotiation. The real prize isn't climbing to the top of the ladder. It's the freedom you find when you realize you don't have to climb to be worthy at all. You just climb because you want to. Hit subscribe to get more great tips, tricks, and practices to thrive in the 9 to 5 and beyond. Happy thriving.